Alex had never imagined his life would take him to a planet so far away from Earth. The interstellar zoo he was assigned to looked more like a fortress than a place for animals. High walls of alien alloy shimmered under the twin suns, and the air carried a strange mix of sense metal, exotic plants, and something wilder, something that made his stomach tighten with both excitement and fear. He had trained for years on Earth, studying animals, reading every book on their behavior, and dreaming about working with the rarest and most dangerous creatures. But nothing in his experience had prepared him for what awaited here. As he walked through the main gate, his boots clanked against the metal floor, echoing through the vast corridors. He saw enclosures of all shapes and sizes, each containing creatures that seemed impossible, almost as if they were pulled from the imagination of someone who had never seen Earth. Some were small and delicate, fluttering with wings that sparkled like jewels. Others were enormous, their scales reflecting light in colors he didn't recognize. Yet none of them made his heart race, the way the lion alien beast did. The creature's enclosure was at the far end of the zoo, separated from everything else by a thick fence that pulsed faintly, a warning that no ordinary steel could contain what was inside. The sign at the entrance was clear: danger, do not approach. Beneath the warning, in smaller letters, it read, even trained staff must exercise extreme caution. Alex had read the reports before coming, of course. The lion alien beast had a reputation unlike any other creature on the planet. It was called a beast for a reason. Its size alone was terrifying, standing taller than a human even when it crouched. Its eyes glowed with an intelligence that seemed almost human, but deeper, darker, and impossible to read. Its claws were long and sharp enough to tear through the reinforced cage like paper if it wanted. Most of the previous zookeepers had left after a few weeks, claiming the stress and danger were too much. Some had been injured. A few had vanished, their fate never fully explained. The veteran staff rarely spoke about the creature directly, but their tense glances and hushed warnings told Alex everything he needed to know. And yet, despite every warning, Alex felt a thrill run through him. He wasn't afraid in the way most humans were. He was nervous, yes, but he was also fascinated. The beast represented everything he had dreamed of: a challenge, unlike any other. Where others saw danger, Alex saw opportunity. He thought about the stories he would tell when he returned to Earth, the sense of pride and achievement he would feel if he could understand this creature where everyone else had failed. He stepped closer to the enclosure, careful to stay behind the thick barrier. The lion alien beast was sitting at the far side, its massive frame resting on powerful limbs. Its mane, unlike any lion back on Earth, shimmered with faint streaks of silver and blue, almost like liquid metal. Its tail flicked lazily, the motion slow but deliberate, and its head turned toward him. That was when Alex felt that the eyes, they weren't just eyes. They were windows into something ancient, something that seemed to measure him in an instant. He froze, feeling an odd mix of fear and awe. The beast tilted its head slightly, as if curious about him, and in that moment, Alex knew he had underestimated it. This was no ordinary predator. This was something far smarter, far more dangerous, and yet, strangely, something that seemed aware of his presence in a way he couldn't explain. Easy, he whispered to himself, though he wasn't sure the creature could hear him. He took a cautious step back, trying not to provoke it. But as he moved, the beast's gaze followed him with unnerving precision, like it understood the motion of his body before he even made it. For the next hour, Alex observed from a safe distance. He watched the way the lion alien beast moved, the way it adjusted its position, the way its ears twitched at sounds beyond human hearing. He noted its breathing, slow and controlled, and the slight tension in its muscles that hinted at sudden bursts of speed and power. Every detail fascinated him. Every small movement felt like a piece of a puzzle he was desperate to solve. During his observation, the staff came by, checking on other enclosures. One of them, an older keeper who had worked at the zoo for decades, noticed Alex lingering near the lion alien beast. "You don't want to get too close," the older keeper said, voice low. "Even standing here is risky. That thing? It's not like anything you've studied on Earth. It thinks differently. It reacts differently. Respect it, or it will remind you of your limits." Alex nodded politely, but inside he felt a mixture of defiance and curiosity. Respect? Yes, he could respect it, but fear would never guide his actions. He wanted to learn, to understand, to be the one human who could get close enough to see it for what it truly was. As the suns began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows over the alien landscape, Alex decided it was time to leave. He knew he would return. He knew he would spend hours, maybe days, studying this creature. But as he walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that the lion alien beast had noticed more than just his presence. It had felt his intentions. And in those glowing eyes, Alex thought he saw a warning, a silent message that he couldn't yet understand. Back in his quarters, he pored over notes and reports. He wrote down every observation, every hypothesis about the creature's behavior. Sleep came reluctantly, as his mind replayed the creature's gaze over and over. There was a part of him that felt he had made a friend in some strange, impossible way. But another part, a small, rational corner of his mind, screamed that he was walking into danger, that the stories he had read were only the beginning of what this creature was capable of. Despite the warning signs, Alex felt ready for the challenge. He didn't know exactly what it would take to gain the lion alien beast's trust, or if such a thing was even possible, but he was determined. The thought of turning back never crossed his mind. He would face the creature one step at a time, learning from every glance, every movement, every sound. That night, as the twin moons rose and bathed the zoo in pale light, the lion alien beast settled into its resting place. Its eyes, ever glowing, seemed to follow the corridors as if it knew Alex would return. Somewhere deep inside, a connection had begun, fragile and unspoken. A connection that could lead to understanding or to disaster. Alex fell asleep with a mixture of excitement and unease. Tomorrow, he promised himself, he would take the first real step toward the creature. He didn't yet know the cost of his ambition, but he was ready to find out. Little did he know, the lion alien beast had been waiting for someone foolish enough to try and clever enough to survive. And Alex, in his human arrogance and curiosity, had volunteered himself. The next morning, Alex arrived at the interstellar zoo before the sun had fully risen. The twin suns were still low in the sky, casting long slanted beams that shimmered over the alien landscape. The air felt cooler, carrying the sharp scent of metal and distant plants. Today, Alex knew he couldn't just observe from the safety of the barrier. He needed to learn more, understand the lion alien beast better, even if that meant stepping closer than anyone had dared in years. As he approached the enclosure, he noticed the faint hum of the reinforced cage. It wasn't just a physical barrier. It was alive in a way, pulsing with energy that warned intruders to stay away. Alex had read about it, but standing there now, he could feel it beneath his feet, like the cage itself knew who he was and what he was about to do. Veteran zookeepers passed by, carrying trays of exotic food for the other creatures. Their eyes flicked toward Alex, sharp and concerned. One of them, an older woman who had worked with the lion alien beast before, stopped and spoke in a low voice. "You're not ready for this," she said, her gaze fixed on the enclosure. "Even standing near it is dangerous. Don't make a mistake that you can't take back." Alex nodded politely, trying to hide the flutter of excitement mixed with fear in his chest. "I'll be careful," he said. But deep down, he knew careful might not be enough. The creature wasn't just strong. It was intelligent. Smarter than humans in ways he couldn't yet understand. And it had a way of knowing who approached it and why. He took a deep breath and moved closer, keeping his movements slow and deliberate. He didn't want to startle the beast, but he wanted to get a better look. And as always, those glowing eyes were watching him, calculating, waiting. The lion alien beast rose to its feet. It was enormous, taller than Alex by at least half a head, with muscles coiled under its shimmering mane. Its gaze didn't just follow him. It seemed to reach into him, reading his thoughts, sensing his intentions. Alex froze for a moment, a shiver running down his spine. This was no ordinary animal, and every instinct screamed at him to step back. But curiosity, that powerful human trait, pulled him forward. Alex had studied the reports of other keepers. He knew the creature could react in an instant, attacking with deadly precision. But today, he wanted to try something different. He wanted to observe not just its strength, but its intelligence. He crouched slightly, keeping his hands visible, and made a slow, deliberate movement toward the food tray he had prepared. The creature's ears twitched. Its eyes narrowed slightly, studying him. Then, to Alex's surprise, it didn't lunge or roar. It simply shifted its weight, watching every motion. He placed the food at a corner of the enclosure and stepped back, maintaining a safe distance. The lion alien beast sniffed, then took the food with caution, almost ritualistically. Every movement was precise, controlled, and Alex realized that the reports hadn't done justice to its intelligence. He spent the next hour observing, taking notes on how it ate, how it shifted its weight, and how it responded to his presence. Every so often, it would glance at him, as if testing his patience and his courage. It wasn't just a predator, it was aware of him, evaluating him. And that awareness made Alex's heart race. A sudden noise from another enclosure made the creature flinch. Alex held his breath. For a moment, it seemed ready to pounce, but then it relaxed. It wasn't afraid, but it was alert. Alex realized that every action he took, every movement, was being judged. He couldn't make a single mistake. During a short break, the older zookeeper returned. She didn't scold him, but her eyes were filled with worry. "You're lucky," she said softly. "Most humans would have panicked by now. Or worse." Alex nodded, but he knew luck had little to do with it. He had been watching, analyzing, thinking. And he understood something the others didn't. This creature wasn't just ferocious. It had patterns, signals, ways of communicating that weren't obvious. And if he could learn them, if he could understand the language of its body and eyes, he might survive. That afternoon, Alex decided to try something riskier. He wanted to see how the lion alien beast reacted to his movements when he was inside the secondary barrier, closer to the enclosure. He knew it was dangerous, but the thrill of understanding outweighed fear. He stepped carefully, keeping his hands open, his movements deliberate, and his voice soft. The beast rose to its full height, muscles rippling under its shimmering mane. Its tail flicked, capping the ground with precision. Alex froze, every instinct screaming to retreat, but he held his ground. Slowly, cautiously, he extended a hand, not toward the food, but toward the creature itself. For a long moment, nothing happened. And then, in a movement almost too quick to follow, the lion alien beast lunged not to attack, but to test him. Its massive paw swiped close, grazing the protective barrier. Alex jumped back, heart pounding. The beast's eyes glowed brighter for a moment, like it was warning him, challenging him. Alex realized something important. This wasn't about food or training. It was about respect, about understanding boundaries. The lion alien beast wasn't aggressive out of anger. It was intelligent, deliberate, and it had its own way of judging whether a human was worthy of trust. Over the next few days, Alex spent hours observing and experimenting. He placed food at different spots, moved slowly through the secondary barrier, and even spoke softly, testing how it reacted to sound. Each experiment brought him closer to understanding, but it also reminded him how fragile his safety was. One wrong step could end his life instantly. Other staff members watched with a mix of awe and fear. They whispered about his bravery or foolishness, depending on their perspective. Alex didn't care what they thought. He was learning something no one else had, building a connection with a creature that had been neglected for years. And in some strange way, he felt a sense of purpose he had never experienced before Dot by the end of the week. He noticed subtle changes in the lion alien beast. It would shift less aggressively when he approached, and it seemed to watch him with curiosity rather than pure suspicion. There was a rhythm to its behavior, a pattern that Alex was slowly beginning to understand. But he also knew he was on borrowed time. One mistake, one moment of arrogance, could undo everything he had learned. That night, he sat alone in his quarters, reviewing notes and sketches. He wrote down every movement, every glance, every shift of the beast's posture. The more he studied, the more he realized that the lion alien beast was not just a creature to be feared. It was a being with its own intelligence, its own way of seeing the world. And if he could truly understand it, he might survive where others had failed. But survival, Alex knew, would require more than curiosity. It would require patience, humility, and a willingness to respect the power and intelligence of a being far beyond human comprehension. And deep inside, a small, cautious part of him wondered if he was ready for that challenge. Dot, as the twin moons rose over the zoo that night, the lion alien beast settled in its enclosure, watching the shadows. Somewhere deep in its glowing eyes, Alex thought he saw acknowledgement, not trust yet, but awareness. The creature knew he was there, and it had decided he was worth observing. Alex slept with the memory of those eyes burned into his mind. He didn't yet know the limits of this connection, but he felt a strange bond forming an unspoken understanding that both frightened and exhilarated him. And he knew that tomorrow he would return, ready to take another step into the unknown. Alex had spent days observing the lion alien beast from a safe distance. Each hour brought him closer to understanding its movements, its subtle reactions, and the faint signs of intelligence hidden beneath its fearsome exterior. But observation alone was not enough. The real test would be stepping closer than anyone had dared in years. Today, he decided, he would attempt his first real interaction inside the secondary enclosure. He woke early, before the twin suns had fully risen, and prepared his equipment carefully. Food supplies, cleaning tools, and his notes were all ready. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the anticipation of what was about to happen. He knew that even a single mistake could cost him dearly. Yet the pull of curiosity, the desire to understand and connect, was stronger than any hesitation. Dot, as he approached the enclosure. The creature was already awake, its glowing eyes fixed on him as though it had been waiting. Alex stopped at the usual distance, crouching slightly to show he was not a threat. He carefully placed the food at the designated spot and took a slow, deep breath. The lion alien beast rose, its muscles coiling like springs ready to launch. Its eyes locked onto his, studying him with that unnerving intelligence he had grown accustomed to. But instead of attacking, it circled slowly, moving with the kind of grace that made its size even more terrifying. Alex's heart pounded, yet he stayed still, recalling every lesson he had learned from the past days. Then, with deliberate caution, he stepped forward. The secondary barrier, designed to give a sense of proximity without full danger, stood between him and the beast. His hand hovered just above the tray of food, and he whispered softly, almost instinctively, to calm both himself and the creature. For a tense moment, Nothing happened. Then the lion-alien beast approached the food, sniffed it, and backed away, watching Alex closely. Its gaze seemed to pierce through him, analyzing every small movement. Alex realized that this was more than feeding. It was a negotiation, a silent test of patience and trust. He decided to try something new. Slowly, he extended a hand, not toward the food but toward the creature itself, a gesture meant to signal no threat. The lion-alien beast froze, its body tense, ears alert. Alex could feel the energy in the air alive, electric, unpredictable. And then, almost imperceptibly, the beast lowered its massive head slightly, an acknowledgement that it had noticed him, that it had understood the intent behind his gesture. Encouraged, Alex took a tiny step closer. He knew he couldn't rush. Every inch mattered. Every movement was observed and judged. His hands remained open, his voice calm. And yet, the tension in the air was overwhelming. The lion-alien beast's tail flicked with precision, its claws clicking lightly on the reinforced floor, each sound echoing like a warning. Suddenly, a loud noise from another part of the zoo door, slamming shut, made the creature flinch. Its massive frame tensed, eyes narrowing. Alex's heart skipped a beat. He froze, unwilling to make a sudden move. The lion-alien beast paused for a long, silent moment, then relaxed, returning its focus to him. That moment reminded Alex that no connection, no matter how carefully nurtured, could eliminate the inherent danger. He was dealing with a being of raw power and unmatched intelligence. Minutes passed like hours as Alex continued to inch closer, his every action deliberate. Finally, he was within a few feet of the creature. The lion-alien beast watched him, breathing steady, movements calm, but full of energy. Alex reached out slowly, fingertips barely brushing the shimmering mane. The creature did not react violently. Instead, it shifted slightly, almost as if testing him, testing his calm, testing his courage. Alex's heart raced. He realized that this was more than a first step. It was the beginning of something profound. The lion-alien beast was not merely observing him anymore. It was responding, acknowledging his presence. And in that acknowledgement, Alex felt a connection unlike anything he had experienced. He was not a predator, and it was not a mindless beast. They were two intelligent beings, cautiously exploring the boundaries between them. But his relief was short-lived. A sudden vibration ran through the floor as another staff member accidentally dropped a tray nearby. The lion-alien beast's eyes widened, muscles coiling like springs. In an instant, it lunged not toward Alex, but in a swift, powerful display of force that reminded him of its deadly potential. Alex stumbled back instinctively, heart pounding, barely maintaining balance. The secondary barrier had done its job, but the near miss left him shaken. He realized then that fascination could be dangerous. Curiosity alone could not replace respect and caution. The lion-alien beast was aware of his intentions. Yes, but it was also a being of instinct, capable of explosive reactions if provoked. Alex took a moment to steady his breathing, to calm the racing thoughts in his mind. Over the next hour, he continued cautiously. Every time he approached, every time he reached out, he observed the creature's reactions, adjusting his movements. Sometimes it stepped back, sometimes it inched forward, and sometimes it simply stared, unblinking, as if measuring his worth. Alex's respect for the beast grew with every interaction. He realized that this was not about taming or controlling. It was about understanding. Negotiating a silent relationship with a creature far beyond human comprehension. By late afternoon, Alex allowed himself a small, cautious victory. The lion-alien beast had accepted food from his hand without showing aggression. It remained tense, aware, alert, but it had acknowledged him. That simple act filled Alex with exhilaration, a deep sense of accomplishment. Yet he knew this was just the beginning. Trust with such a creature was fragile, earned slowly, and could vanish in an instant. Other staff members watched from a safe distance, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others whispering about Alex's audacity. But he didn't care. He understood something they did not. Connection with this being required courage, patience, and a willingness to learn from the creature itself. He had to let it lead the interaction, not force it. As the twin suns began to set, casting the alien landscape in long shadows, Alex stepped back. The lion alien beast settled on the floor, eyes still glowing, watching him. There was a tension in the air, a silent acknowledgement that today had been a success, but also a warning that nothing had truly changed. The creature's power, its intelligence, and its unpredictability were still absolute. Alex returned to his quarters that evening, exhausted but exhilarated. Every movement, every glance, every subtle shift in the lion alien beast's behavior played over in his mind. He realized that understanding this creature would take time, more patience than he had ever imagined, and more humility than he had ever felt. He also knew that his journey had crossed a critical threshold. Observation had turned into interaction. An interaction carried risks that could no longer be ignored. As he lay in bed, he thought about the eyes that had followed him all day. They were not merely glowing orbs. They were windows into a mind that could not be predicted, a mind that demanded respect. And somewhere deep in that awareness, Alex felt that the lion alien beast had begun to recognize him as more than just a human, perhaps as a curious, careful, and worthy observer. Yet, even in the quiet of his room, a small voice in his mind warned him. Fascination could become arrogance. Curiosity could become recklessness. The creature's acceptance today was conditional, fragile, and earned only by careful observation and respect. One misstep, one flash of impatience, and the progress of the day could vanish in an instant. Despite the warning, Alex felt a thrill unlike any other. He had crossed the first threshold, taken the first step into the unknown, and survived. He had touched the mane, felt the power, and observed intelligence that defied everything he knew about life. And in that, he found purpose and determination. He would return tomorrow, ready to push a little further, learn a little more, and build the trust that might one day allow him to approach even closer. As he drifted to sleep, the twin moons rose over the zoo, casting a pale glow over the enclosure. The lion alien beast remained alert, eyes glowing softly, a silent guardian of its own world. Somewhere in that glow, Alex felt a connection forming, fragile, cautious, and powerful, a connection that would define the days to come, testing courage, patience, and the limits of human understanding. After the close encounter inside the secondary enclosure, Alex knew that observation alone would not be enough. The lion alien beast had acknowledged him, accepted his presence cautiously, but the real challenge was understanding it, building a connection that was more than just survival. He spent the night reviewing his notes, replaying every subtle movement, every glance, every shift in posture. The creature's intelligence was unlike anything he had ever seen, and he felt both awe and a growing responsibility. The next morning, Alex arrived earlier than usual, the alien suns just peeking above the horizon. He approached the enclosure with a calm determination, keeping his body relaxed, his hands visible. The lion alien beast was already awake, its massive frame resting on its powerful limbs. Its glowing eyes met his, and for a moment, Alex felt the same shiver he had felt on the first day. The creature was aware of him before he even stepped fully into the barrier. Today, Alex decided he would try to deepen the fragile connection that had begun. He carried small portions of food, carefully prepared, and placed them at precise locations within the enclosure. He had learned that random placement caused the creature to become wary, but deliberate, measured actions seemed to pique its curiosity rather than provoke aggression. The lion alien beast observed silently, its tail flicking slowly, eyes tracking every movement. For hours, Alex moved around the secondary barrier, carefully studying responses. The creature would sometimes approach the food, sometimes step back, sometimes watch him with an intensity that made his chest tighten. He realized that this was a two-way interaction. The lion alien beast wasn't merely reacting, it was testing him, evaluating his patience, his intentions, his respect. And in that evaluation, Alex saw a reflection of his own humanity. His pride, his curiosity, and his determination were all on display, and the creature responded accordingly. As the days passed, Alex noticed subtle changes. The beast began to mirror some of his movements, slowly adjusting its position in response to his approach. It would sometimes follow his hands with its eyes, tracking his actions with a precision that left him in awe. It became clear that he was no longer just an observer. The lion alien beast was engaging with him, recognizing him as a conscious presence rather than an unpredictable human threat. One afternoon, after carefully placing food near the center of the enclosure, Alex tried something daring. He crouched slightly, maintaining a relaxed posture, and extended his hand slowly toward the creature, this time not to feed it, but as a gesture of acknowledgement. The lion alien beast paused, its massive head lowering slightly, eyes glowing brighter. Alex's heart raced, but he stayed still, feeling the weight of the moment. For a few tense seconds, the creature simply watched, muscles coiled, tail flicking gently. Then, in a gesture almost imperceptible, it shifted forward slightly, moving closer to the food while keeping its attention on Alex. It was a small movement, but to him, it felt monumental. The creature was engaging, testing the trust he offered, and responding in kind. Over the next few days, Alex continued to refine his approach. He experimented with tone of voice, gestures, and timing. Sometimes he would speak softly, almost whispering, observing how the creature reacted. Other times he would remain completely silent, letting his body language convey calm and respect. Each interaction was a lesson in patience, and each lesson revealed more about the intelligence and sensitivity of the lion alien beast. As trust grew, Alex began to notice signs of curiosity in the creature that went beyond survival instincts. It would tilt its head, follow subtle movements, and occasionally make soft, almost inaudible sounds. These sounds were different from the growls and roars that had terrified him initially. They seemed like attempts at communication, subtle, cautious, and deliberate. Alex recorded every sound, every nuance, trying to decode what could be a language of its own making. One evening, as the twin moons rose and cast pale light across the enclosure, something remarkable happened. Alex had placed food near the far corner and was retreating slowly to observe. The lion alien beast picked up the food then, instead of retreating or attacking, it carried it toward him, placing it at the edge of the secondary barrier. Alex froze, unable to believe what he was seeing. The creature had made a choice, and eyes, acknowledgement of his presence and his respect. His hands trembled slightly as he reached out, not to touch, but to signal understanding. The lion alien beast lowered its massive head slightly, eyes glowing softly, and remained still. For a long moment, they simply observed each other. Alex realized that the bond he had worked so hard to build was beginning to take shape. This was not obedience, not submission. It was recognition, a cautious, fragile connection between two intelligent beings. Over the following weeks, Alex's interactions became more sophisticated. He learned to anticipate the creature's movements, to respond to subtle signals, and to maintain calm even when tension rose. The lion alien beast seemed to understand that he was not a threat, and sometimes it would allow him to approach slightly closer, observing him with those penetrating eyes. Yet the danger never fully disappeared. Even in moments of calm, Alex was acutely aware of the beast's strength and unpredictability. A single wrong move could end everything he had built. He reminded himself constantly, this connection was delicate, earned through respect, patience, and humility. It could vanish in an instant if he allowed arrogance or impatience to creep in. One morning, after a week of careful observation and small breakthroughs, Alex attempted something bolder. He reached out his hand slowly, moving closer than ever before, while speaking softly. The lion alien beast paused, muscles tense, tail flicking slowly. For a heartbeat, the air seemed to hold its breath. Then, instead of recoiling or striking, the creature leaned slightly forward, sniffing the air near his hand. Alex froze, heart pounding, aware of the risk he was taking. This small gesture marked a turning point. The lion alien beast was beginning to accept his presence as something other than a threat. It was testing the boundaries of trust, and Alex was learning to navigate those boundaries carefully. He realized that he was not simply feeding or observing. He was engaging in a subtle dance, a negotiation of awareness, patience, and respect. By the end of that day, Alex felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Every interaction had required intense focus and emotional control. Every small breakthrough was tempered by the awareness of the creature's power. Yet he also felt a deep satisfaction. The lion alien beast had allowed him a glimpse into its world. Responding to patience and respect in ways that defied his previous understanding of animals. As he returned to his quarters, Alex reflected on what he had learned. Trust was not something to demand. It was something to earn through consistent, careful behavior. Intelligence was not measured by obedience, but by observation, adaptation, and subtle communication. And even the most fearsome creature could recognize intention, respect, and patience when it saw them. That night, as he lay in bed, Alex thought of the glowing eyes that had followed him throughout the day. He realized that connection was not about control, it was about understanding and coexistence. The lion alien beast had begun to see him as something more than just a human, and in that recognition, Alex felt a cautious optimism. He knew, however, that the journey was far from over. Every day brought new lessons, new tests of patience, and new reminders of the creature's immense power. The connection he was building was fragile, delicate, and required constant attention. But for the first time, Alex felt that he was not merely surviving in the presence of the lion alien beast, he was learning, growing, and forming a bond that, if nurtured carefully, could become something extraordinary. As the twin moons rose high in the alien sky, casting pale shadows across the enclosure, the lion alien beast rested, its eyes glowing softly in the dim light. Alex knew that tomorrow would bring another day of observation, interaction, and careful negotiation. And though the path ahead was uncertain, he felt a quiet determination. He would continue, step by step, learning from the creature, respecting its power, and building a connection that might one day bridge the gap between human and alien intelligence. In those quiet moments, he understood something profound. The lion alien beast was not merely a creature to be feared, it was a being capable of awareness, emotion, and judgment. And in acknowledging that, Alex had taken the first true steps toward understanding, respect, and a bond that could redefine his place in this alien world. Alex had grown more confident over the past weeks. His careful observation, patience, and deliberate actions had begun to earn the lion alien beast's cautious trust. Every day, he approached the enclosure with a mix of respect and curiosity, and the creature seemed to recognize him, responding in subtle, almost intelligent ways. Yet, deep in the back of his mind, Alex knew that confidence could be dangerous. The lion alien beast was not predictable, not tame, and one small mistake could undo all the progress he had made. That morning, Alex arrived at the zoo early, determined to make another small step toward understanding. The twin suns were rising, casting a soft golden glow over the alien landscape, and the air was filled with the sounds of distant creatures stirring. He moved carefully along the reinforced walkway, carrying a tray of food and some cleaning tools. His heart beat steadily, and he reminded himself to stay calm, to remain aware of every detail around him. As he approached the enclosure, the lion alien beast was already awake. Its massive form stretched and shifted, powerful muscles rippling under its shimmering mane. Its eyes glowed as they always did, fixed on him with an intensity that was both unsettling and mesmerizing. Alex took a deep breath, placing the tray of food at the designated spot and retreating slightly to observe. For a moment, everything seemed calm. The creature sniffed the food, then slowly began to eat, all while keeping one glowing eye on Alex. Feeling encouraged, Alex decided to take a further step. Today, he wanted to enter the enclosure, not fully, but close enough to clean some of the outer areas and place the food personally in spots the creature preferred. He had planned it carefully, thinking through every possible reaction and contingency. His heart raced, but he believed he could manage it. He moved toward the secondary barrier, extending his hand slowly in a gesture meant to signal calm. The lion alien beast tilted its head, studying him intently. Its tail flicked, ears twitching, and muscles tensed slightly, as if weighing the risk of his approach. Alex froze for a moment, then continued, one careful step at a time. For several minutes, the interaction remained calm. He placed food carefully, wiped a section of the floor, and observed the creature's reactions. Each movement was deliberate, measured, and he felt a sense of accomplishment. He had never been this close before, and the creature seemed almost accepting of his presence. Then, without warning, a sudden noise echoed from the other side of the enclosure, a metal door slamming shut in the distance. The lion alien beast's body stiffened instantly, muscles coiling like springs, tail lashing sharply. Its glowing eyes focused on Alex, and in a blur of motion, it lunged toward him. Alex froze for a fraction of a second, his instincts screaming to retreat. But the space was tight, and he had nowhere to go. The creature's massive paw swiped close, grazing the protective barrier and sending sparks into the air. The roar that followed shook the air, a sound so deep and powerful that it seemed to reverberate through his chest. Heart pounding, Alex realized how fragile his position truly was. All his careful planning, all his observations, could be undone in a single instant. He took a step back, maintaining eye contact, hands raised in a non-threatening gesture. The lion alien beast paused, tail flicking, body tense but controlled. It was a warning, a reminder of its strength, intelligence, and unpredictability. Alex's mind raced. He knew he couldn't force trust or understanding. The creature's reaction was natural, instinctive, and a response to perceived danger. He needed to remain calm, to show patience, and to let the creature decide how the interaction would continue. Slowly, deliberately, he stepped back further, lowering his hands slightly. Minutes passed in tense silence. The lion alien beast's glowing eyes never left him, studying, measuring, calculating. Then, almost imperceptibly, it shifted its weight and returned to the food, sniffing cautiously. Alex let out a quiet breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The crisis had passed, but the lesson was clear. Respect was not enough. Constant vigilance was essential. Shaken but undeterred, Alex retreated to a safe distance, taking careful notes on the creature's behavior. He realized that this near catastrophe had taught him something critical. Observation alone could not prepare him for the unpredictability of a being so intelligent and powerful. He needed to remain humble, cautious, and adaptable. That afternoon, after reviewing his notes, Alex made small adjustments to the enclosure's care routine. He reinforced barriers in key spots, rearranged food locations to encourage calm behavior, and planned future interactions with even more care. Each step was deliberate, aimed at building trust without provoking the creature. He understood now that patience was not just a virtue, it was a necessity for survival. As the week progressed, Alex continued cautiously. He observed, he cleaned, he placed food, and he spoke softly. Slowly, the lion alien beast began to relax slightly in his presence, though it never fully let its guard down. The near disaster had reinforced the reality of its power, and Alex respected it more than ever. The bond they were building was fragile, delicate, and demanded constant attention. Yet despite the danger, Alex could not ignore the fascination he felt. The lion alien beast was not a mindless predator. It was intelligent, aware, and capable of subtle communication. Its glowing eyes followed him with curiosity. Its movements were precise, and its reactions were measured. Alex realized that what he was witnessing was something extraordinary, a connection between two intelligent beings, each cautious, each learning from the other. One evening, after a particularly tense day, Alex sat quietly by the enclosure, observing the creature as it rested. Its massive form was still, muscles relaxed, eyes glowing softly. For a moment, it seemed almost peaceful, almost human in its awareness. Alex felt a mixture of awe, fear, and respect. He realized that he had crossed a threshold, not just in proximity, but in understanding. He was learning to anticipate its behavior, to respond to subtle cues, and to respect the immense power that lay just beneath the surface. But the incident earlier that week had left a lasting impression. Alex knew that fascination could easily turn into recklessness, that curiosity could become arrogance if he let it. He reminded himself constantly that the lion alien beast was not a pet, not a companion, and not something to be controlled. It was a being of extraordinary intelligence and strength, and any mistake could be fatal. As the twin moons rose and cast their pale light over the zoo, Alex reflected on the lessons he had learned. The lion alien beast had tested him, reminding him of the limits of human courage and understanding. It had demonstrated the consequences of overconfidence and the importance of patience, humility, and respect. And yet, even after the near catastrophe, Alex felt a renewed determination. He knew that the bond he was building, fragile as it was, held the potential for something extraordinary. He understood now that this journey was not about conquering fear or taming the creature. It was about coexistence, about careful observation, and about learning to respond to a being whose intelligence and power far surpassed human expectations. Every interaction, every subtle signal, was a lesson in patience, courage, and understanding. As he returned to his quarters that night, exhausted but reflective, Alex knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. The lion alien beast would continue to test him, and he would have to remain vigilant, humble, and patient. Yet, despite the danger, he felt a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. He was not just a zookeeper. He was a student, learning from a creature that could not be fully understood, yet could be respected and cautiously engaged with. In the quiet of his room, Alex thought of the glowing eyes that had followed him all day. They were not merely signs of awareness. They were reminders of the power, intelligence, and unpredictability of the lion alien beast. And somewhere in that awareness, Alex felt a fragile connection, born of respect, patience, and careful observation, a connection that could grow stronger, but also disappear instantly if he failed to remain vigilant. He drifted to sleep with the image of the creature etched in his mind, a mixture of fear, fascination, and awe. The near catastrophe had been a harsh lesson, but it had also reinforced the truth he had been learning all along. Trust and understanding must be earned, patience must be constant, and respect is the only way to survive and build a connection with a being as extraordinary as the lion alien beast. The weeks of careful observation, cautious interaction, and growing understanding had transformed Alex's relationship with the lion alien beast. Each day had brought new lessons, moments of awe, and reminders of the creature's raw power. He had learned to respect its intelligence, to read its subtle signals, and to maintain patience no matter how tempting it was to rush forward. But today felt different. Today, he sensed a shift of fragile, quiet acknowledgement in the creature that hinted at something more than mere tolerance. Alex arrived at the enclosure early, the twin suns casting soft, golden light across the alien landscape. He moved slowly along the reinforced walkway, carrying a small tray of food. His movements were deliberate, calm, and confident, reflecting weeks of practice and observation. As he approached, the lion alien beast was already awake, its massive frame resting on its powerful limbs. Its glowing eyes fixed on him immediately, but there was a subtle softness in the gaze he hadn't seen before. He placed the food at its usual spot and stepped back slightly, watching the creature closely. It sniffed the food, then looked up at him, its gaze lingering longer than usual. Alex felt a shiver of anticipation. The trust that had been building over weeks was becoming more tangible, more mutual. Today, he would attempt his closest approach yet, guided by patience and respect. Slowly, he moved into the secondary enclosure, keeping his hands visible and his body relaxed. The lion alien beast followed his movements with careful attention, muscles coiled but relaxed, tail flicking slowly. Alex reminded himself of the lessons he had learned. Never rush. Always watch for subtle signs, and respond to the creature's signals rather than imposing his own. Step by step, he moved closer. The creature shifted slightly, but did not retreat. Its eyes followed him, glowing softly, observing, assessing, yet no longer radiating the tension and suspicion of the first days. Alex felt a deep sense of connection forming, fragile yet undeniable. He crouched slightly, lowering his body to show calm, and extended his hand, slowly not toward the food, but as a gesture of acknowledgement, respect, and curiosity. The lion alien beast paused, muscles coiling briefly, then leaned forward slightly, its glowing eyes fixed on his hand, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. Alex held his breath, heart pounding, knowing that the bond they had worked to build hung in that moment, fragile and delicate. Then, in a gesture that felt almost monumental, the creature nudged its massive head toward his hand, a subtle acknowledgement of his presence. Alex's chest swelled with a mix of awe, relief, and triumph. He had never expected such a response. Yet it was not obedience or submission. It was recognition, an intelligent acknowledgement from a being far beyond human understanding. He remained still, not pushing further, simply observing, connecting, and respecting the creature's power. Over the next hour, Alex and the lion alien beast shared a quiet interaction. He moved slowly, adjusting positions, speaking softly, and observing every subtle response. The creature remained calm, aware, and engaged, its intelligence evident in every careful movement. Alex realized that the trust they had built was not about control, it was about coexistence. Mutual respect and understanding dot as the twin suns climbed higher. Casting light across the alien terrain, Alex reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the first day of observation, through cautious approaches, near catastrophes, and slow, patient progress, he had learned lessons about courage, humility, and the delicate balance between curiosity and respect. The lion alien beast had tested him in ways that no human experience could have prepared him for, teaching him the limits of his own understanding and the depth of a being whose intelligence defied expectation. The weeks of interaction had changed him. He no longer approached the enclosure with a mix of fear and reckless curiosity. Instead, he moved with deliberate calm, aware of the creature's power, respectful of its autonomy, and grateful for the glimpses of connection they shared. Each day brought subtle changes in behavior, less tension, more curiosity, occasional soft sounds that felt like attempts at communication. Alex had learned to listen, to observe, and to respond with patience. That evening, as the twin moons rose and cast a pale glow over the enclosure, Alex sat quietly nearby. The lion alien beast rested, eyes glowing softly, muscles relaxed yet alert. He felt a profound sense of accomplishment, but also humility. The creature had not been conquered or tamed. It had chosen to engage, to acknowledge, and to interact on its own terms. Alex realized that this was the essence of true understanding, not dominance, not control, but respect, patience, and empathy in those quiet moments. He thought about everything he had experienced, the initial fear, the careful observation, the first tentative steps toward interaction, the near catastrophe that reminded him of the creature's power, and the slow, painstaking development of trust. Each moment had been a lesson, a step in building a connection that required intelligence, patience, and emotional awareness. Alex understood. Now that his journey was not only about surviving in the presence of the lion alien beast, it was about learning from it, respecting it, and growing as a human being in response to the challenges it presented. The creature had pushed him to confront fear, to develop patience, and to recognize the limits of human understanding. And in return, it had allowed him a glimpse into its own awareness, intelligence, and subtle forms of communication. The bond they shared was fragile, delicate, and built on mutual respect. Alex knew that it could be tested at any moment by a sudden sound, a careless movement, or a lapse in patience. Yet he also knew that the connection was real, that the creature had acknowledged him as more than just a human observer. For the first time, he felt a sense of harmony in the presence of a being whose power was unmatched and whose intelligence was profound. As he returned to his quarters that night, Alex reflected on what he had learned. Courage alone was not enough. Intelligence alone was not enough. It was patience, respect, and careful observation that allowed him to survive and build a connection with a creature as extraordinary as the lion alien beast. Felt a deep sense of gratitude for the lessons he had learned, and for the rare opportunity to engage with a being that could teach him so much about intelligence, awareness, and the power of observation. He realized that his experience was not just about the lion, alien beast, it was about human growth, about understanding the world beyond familiar boundaries, and about recognizing that true connection requires humility, patience, and respect. He had faced fear, navigated danger, and learned to communicate in subtle, meaningful ways with a being that could easily overpower him. And in doing so, he had discovered a new level of awareness, empathy, and courage within himself. As the twin moons shone through his window, casting soft light over the room, Alex felt a quiet sense of closure. The lion alien beast remained in its enclosure, powerful, intelligent, and aware. The bond they had formed was delicate but real, built on trust, patience, and mutual acknowledgement. He knew that the journey was far from over, that every day would bring new lessons and challenges. But he also knew that he had reached a point of understanding and respect that few humans could ever achieve. In the stillness of the night, Alex allowed himself to reflect on the extraordinary experience. He had faced danger, learned to respect intelligence beyond his own, and discovered the importance of patience, humility, and careful observation. He had forged a bond that was fragile yet profound, one that would continue to grow as long as he maintained respect and awareness. He realized that the lion alien beast was more than a creature. It was a teacher, a challenge, and a mirror reflecting the depth of human courage, patience, and understanding. And in recognizing that, Alex felt a profound sense of purpose. His journey had not only been about surviving in the presence of a powerful being, it had been about discovering the true meaning of respect, connection, and coexistence. As he drifted into sleep, Alex thought of the glowing eyes that had followed him all day, the subtle movements, the gentle acknowledgement, and the quiet intelligence of the creature. He knew that tomorrow, and every day after, would bring new challenges, new lessons, and new opportunities to deepen the connection he had built. But for now, he felt a deep sense of accomplishment, understanding, and wonder. He had faced fear, navigated danger, and earned the respect of a being far beyond human comprehension. And in that achievement, he found not only survival, but growth, learning, and a rare glimpse into the extraordinary intelligence and awareness of a lion alien beast. For the first time, Alex understood the truth that had guided him throughout his journey. True connection is not about control, fear, or dominance. It is about respect, patience, and understanding, the willingness to learn from another being, to adapt, and to grow in response to its intelligence and presence. And in that understanding, he knew he had achieved something extraordinary.